Good afternoon and welcome to your weekly editorial analysis on BYJU'S exam prep. Good afternoon, Motivational World. Good afternoon, Sonali, Nidhi. As you know, every week we do this editorial analysis from a linguistic point of view. I'll show you the passage, you read it in a timed manner, answer questions based on it, and then you try to answer some vocabulary questions and sometimes even a grammar question. I have a question for you. Hello, Jagan. Those of you who've been following this analysis regularly, did you find any improvement in terms of your comfort with reading, comfort of reading an editorial? Did you in any way find that you are somewhat better in answering questions? The main thing is to get that shackles out of your head. Most of you start with the premise, I cannot read, which is rubbish. Because you've been reading from the time you're a child, from the time you went to school. So I cannot read is rubbish. If you know the alphabet A to Z, you know how to read. So the only key here is we're going to read it in a strategic manner so that we can read any given passage quickly. Understand it. Sometimes reading quickly doesn't help. Nothing registers in your brain. So you have to read to understand, and then how do I know you've understood? Because I'll be asking you questions based on it. That is exactly what a CAT question setter does, right? Good noon, Nishank. How are you? All right. All of you ready for this? Shall we start? As always, I'll give you about 40 seconds per slide. Read the slide, simplify what you think are the important points of that particular paragraph in the slide, and then we move on to the next one. I will summarize the passage for you. I will read it and summarize it later. Then you need to align your points with mine and say, hey, I missed that point. Oh, I got it right. Okay. That's how we do this. We read together. All right. Good afternoon, Ritik. All right. Let us start. 40 seconds to read this. Due to technical problems, Tuesday class नहीं हुआ. From next Tuesday, I shall be. This is the Tuesday class. Next Tuesday, I'll be regular. There was an issue with the studio, and that's why. Done? The moment the first person says I'm done reading, we move to the next slide. All right. Next slide. Okay, done. Next slide. Good. Next slide. I hope you remember what you're reading, because when I summarize, I want you to read along with me. Hello, Vanshika. Okay, last, probably the last paragraph, start. Okay, so now quickly type in for me what you think were the key words of the passage, or see if you agree with this. This is not a summary, I've just picked up sentences from the passage. First thing, what is the subject? So three things. Any exam that you go to, they'll tell you to always look at the scope of the passage, the tone, and the main point of the passage. Scope is overall. What's the subject? Gender gap report and what it has said. Tone of the passage, objective mostly, at places he has praised India. Right? What is the main point? The gender gap report showed a lot of positives. At the same time, there are a lot of areas where we have to improve. Right? So now we have an idea of the passage. Right? So some of the main points: India has improved. The gender gap report of 2022 or 3, we have improved a lot on a lot of parameters, but the author says we still need a lot of improvement in some areas. In terms of access, even access, uniform access for men and women in economic participation and opportunity, India is right at the bottom, right? We are nowhere near the top ranking countries. We need to do a lot. Give equal, even, uniform, just access to education, economic participation, and opportunities to men and women. Then another point he says, women have work. Of course they have work. But they do so much unpaid work, both at home and outside, that they don't have the time or the energy to do paid work. Alright, that's the other one. So therefore they cannot opt for paid work. Providing girls with job assured education. Give them such an education that the moment they graduate, they get a job. If you do that, then a lot of other problems will fall in place. I said early marriage, when children, girls in rural areas especially, girls are not sent to school or school is too expensive for them. What will she do reading? Then they get married off early, then they have children early, they have health issues, maternal health issues. Many die because they're too young to have kids. So all these problems of health and early marriage, these problems will be sorted with what? Job assured education for women. Then he said, even if they get jobs, the problem is with our culture. Our culture restricts women. Our patriarchal culture, patriarchal and cultural rules of society stop women. These are some of the main points, and in some cases serious safety concerns. They can't go out after a particular time of the day. They can't go out alone. There is no transport. So we know all those things. He has put it as serious safety concerns. Right? Now this is an easy passage. It's on a topic that is often asked in any exam. CAT, XAT, IFT, NMAT, gender gap report, gender disparity is a common topic. Once you clear CAT, it will come as a topic for WAT. So that is why, because of the relevance, we have picked it up, not because it's a very tough passage. All right. Which one of the following statements sums up the main argument of the passage? Please press the like button. If you get the answer correct, press one more, but I hope you get it right. Which one sums up the main argument? India's improvement in rank in the gender gap report is laudable. India has done well in economic participation, but not in educational attainment, health and empowerment. Despite some improvement, efforts must be made to bridge the gender disparities in India. The gender gap is an integral part of a developing country. So what's so new about India? Every country, the moment, like they say, inflation is a part of development, gender gap is an integral trait of any developing country. So which one? Most of the answers say C so far. I see no other answer. What do you think is the right answer? I want everyone to key in the answers quickly. Agreed? All right, C is the answer. Excellent. Now press the like button before we go to the next one. You are giving yourself a like. All right. Which one cannot be inferred from the passage? Generally, what happens? Can be inferred questions are faster to answer. Not that they are less difficult, but you can answer it fast. The moment you say, yeah, I can infer this, the all others would be out of scope. Cannot be inferred means you have to be more thorough with what has been said in the passage, because there are three options which can be inferred, right? So which one cannot be inferred? India is in the bottom quartile of the countries with big gender disparities. India has the lowest representation of women in parliament. India has quite a satisfactory representation of women in education. Or the pandemic affected women and lowered their labor participation. This is a specific idea question. Even though it involves inference, it actually requires you to go back to the passage because there's very specific points mentioned. Once you key in your answers, we'll go and look at each of these. One is bottom quartile of countries with big gender disparities. Second, lowest representation of women in parliament. Third, satisfactory, quite satisfactory. Quite a satisfactory one could mean anything, of women in education. And the pandemic affected women and lowered. Which one cannot be inferred? That means three options can be inferred. One cannot be, you have to point out which one cannot be inferred. Are all the answers in? All right, let's look at the bottom quartile part of it, okay? Where does India rank in the gender disparity report or parity report? 127 out of 146. Last year it was 135. It's now 127 out of 146. My maths is 0. But even I know if I have to cut it into 4 parts and see which part does India come to, then where? That is the question for everybody. Kaka. Alright. Remind me of Rajesh Khanna. 2 options. Then you have to go back and check. So in this question, which were the 2 options that you were caught between? Which 2 options were you caught between in this question? And I'll tell you, check the answer in the passage and you will get your answer. So for the first example, yes, this can be inferred. 127 rank 127 out of 145 countries with just gender disparities means it's still in the lower rung. Therefore, it's in the bottom quartile is correct. All right, what was the second one? So all of you who said A is the answer, that is not correct. What was the second option? So this can be inferred. India has the lowest representation of women in parliament. Where has that been written? Whenever you get extreme words, lowest, best, first, worst, always, never, cross-check. Don't mark it. Most likely that's the answer because that's an extreme word. He said we have a low representation, only this much percent. Women's representation is only 15.1 of parliamentarians. Where has he given anything about other countries? How do you know this is the lowest? There may be some countries where it is 0. All right. So he has not said we have the lowest representation. We just have a low representation. In terms of political empowerment, this is the amendments he's talking about. It is better now. But he did not say 15.1. Actual paper that's happening, tell me the 2 answers and we'll work it out. Okay. We will solve actual CAT papers once CAT is around the corner. You will know there will be a word there, there will be a something there. Either the option is The easier ones are options which are out of scope and contradict the passage. But suppose the passage talks about the world leaders, then here the option would use some other word. If the option talks about developed countries, if the passage talks about developing countries, the answer will say developed countries. So you have to be careful in reading the option 2-3 times, simplify in your words and see which one is a better option, and again cross check with the passage. Therefore guys, lowest representation he has not said. The representation in parliament, women's representation in the Indian parliament is low, but nowhere can I say it's the lowest in the world. Therefore this is the answer that cannot be inferred. He said we've done better in education, and we have done, and he did say during the pandemic everyone was affected, but women were affected more because they could not participate, their participation in labor, and therefore household income also came down. Therefore the correct answer is B. When it is this question, again I keep repeating the same mantra to you: do not rely on your imperfect memory. Why were you confused? The word lowest should have asked you, should have prompted you, Ishank, to go back to the passage and say, did it say lowest? It said 15.1, India's representation, women's representation in parliament is low, but does not say lowest. So the use of any extreme word should make you think, unless he has given it in the passage. Again, sometimes the passage may mention an extreme word, then you're there. So always remember, too broad or too narrow or an extreme word, these are the 3 ways options are made which are wrong. The moment you have a doubt in an answer option, you need to go back to the passage. I know many of you think it's a waste of time, but to me it signifies that it's either a choice between +1 or -1/4. As clear as that. Okay? All right. Which of the following is true about India's health performance according to... No. Pranav, where would you find, when you read an option which has an extreme word in it, sometimes the extreme word would be given in, so there may be a passage which says only, this is the only way India can move forward. Then the answer option says there is no other way to move forward, then it's correct. So when you find an option which gives words like lowest, best, and again remember, best and most preferred, there's a difference. I may prefer something because it's available to me, but need not be the best. So you have to make sure that the word that is used in the passage is used here. All right. So that is why. Okay. So look at the options and then say, if it says lowest representation in parliament, you know that the passage has mentioned low representation. Go and check, did it say low or lowest? And then you will get it. Understood? All right, next question. Which of the following is true about India's health performance according to the annual gender gap report? Again, this question, if you're not sure, you have to go back to the passage. You key in your answers and we'll go back to the passage. The sex ratio at birth has decreased, remained constant, increased, or is it the 4th option, which is nothing about sex ratio? It just says overall health and survival issues have worsened. Which one is correct? I'm getting a lot of C's. Any other answer? Okay, Shrikant thinks it's D. Let's go back to India's health performance. There's actually only one sentence about India's health performance. Yeah, here. Even access to men and women, on the one hand, obstetrics and parity here. Another concern is India's performance in health and survival. But they have not said it has worsened or improved. They've just said it's a matter of concern. There they have said, though an improvement in sex ratio at birth has driven up parity after more than a decade of slow progress. The problem in India is that the sex ratio is very skewed. Like in many areas, rural areas, underdeveloped areas, poorer areas, girl child is not preferred. So you have a very skewed sex ratio. Here, that ratio, he says, has improved. Okay, many years it was static or had a very slow growth. Right now it has improved. But there remain concerns on health and survival. He hasn't told you what those concerns are. So we cannot, when we will be tempted to say that overall health and survival issues have worsened. D could be like Shrikant has mentioned, but we do not know if it is really true. Concerns, it remains a worrying factor. It could be already bad that nothing has improved, and it could be a worrying factor, right? So this, for example, we know is correct. Has been mentioned, and therefore you will mention mark C. Understood? So in the exam, if these two, you know the C and D have been mentioned, and you don't have the time, it's natural that some of us mark D because we remember health and survival concerns remain. You don't know exactly what has been said. That is where you make a mistake. So if you have the time, always cross-check. Okay? Good to cross-check. Otherwise, you would not know what has been said, and it will not be said this clearly. I have chosen this from an editorial. Generally, Hindu editorials use little difficult language, but not too much. As we move on, I have just decided that, okay, let at least 6 classes be done before I move on to an article, an op-ed article. I'll take excerpts from it instead of an editorial, or take a longer article from Aeon or maybe Economist or something else. Okay, not always the Hindu, but Hindu kind of always brings the best appraisal of an issue, and that's why I like it. All right, next one. The author believes which of the following can improve the lot of women. The key is how well you have summarized the passage. If you have summarized the passage well, you will get the answer immediately. By getting the women's reservation bill passed in parliament, he has mentioned this. Could it be this? By providing equal access for men and women for economic participation, he has mentioned this. By providing girls with a job assured education which will help in their all-round improvement, or by changing cultural and traditional norms which obstruct women. Now, I've got, most of you seem to think it's C. Tell me why not A? He does mention that India can improve. It is the right time for the parliament to pass the women's reservation bill, which has been pending since long, 33.3% reservation. Why not A and B? What justification do you have for A and B? A will improve the lot of women politically. If you have political empowerment, will translate into social and economic empowerment. So why not A? Why not B? Right now the author does talk about equal political access for men and women. Right? On what grounds have you said not A and B? He has mentioned A, he has mentioned B, but he links a lot of problems with C and says with one stroke you can solve a lot of problems, and therefore we are choosing C. So C is the best of good options. It justifies it in terms of all-round development. All others have also been suggested by the author as something that's going to bridge the gender gap. But here it is not asking about bridging the gender gap. It is talking about overall improving the lot of women. All right? Excellent. So C is the answer. All right, next one. This is a conditional syllogism, right? It is in an if and then form, a conditional sentence. So use the rules of a conditional or deductive logic to figure this out. Easy one this is. Slowly, if it's a more difficult passage like philosophy, I choose a passage from Sartre and I'll give you the same thing. If man does this, then nothing justifies everything kind of a passage. You still use the same basics to work it out. right? So if the pandemic revealed the fragility of life, it was infinitely harder on women, with their labor participation rates dropping, thus reducing household incomes. This is the statement. Which of the following conclusions follow from this statement? Remember, conclusion means something that is definitely true based on. It's a fact which is derived from the facts given in the passage. Which one is it? Okay, I'm getting lots of A's and D's, actually more D's than A's. Okay, if I say, if I eat ice cream, I feel happy. If I eat anything, I feel happy, but let's leave it at ice creams today. If I say, if I eat ice cream, I feel happy, would you say, Madam looks happy today, therefore she ate ice cream? Is that correct logic? If the pandemic revealed the fragility of life, it was harder on women, with their labor participation rates dropping, thus reducing household incomes. So what did the pandemic reveal? The fragility of life, the fact that it was harder on women, and eventually it reduced household incomes. You can't say if household incomes dropped, it means that there has been a pandemic. There can be any reason for household income. Whenever you have a conditional sentence, the condition has to be met for the result to happen. So if I say, if it rains, I'll go and jump on the grass. If I say that, then I tell you it rained, the condition has been met. So if the pandemic revealed, okay, yes, the negative works. If I'm not happy, that means I haven't had an ice cream. That is true, Ishank. So here we are not actually using the if and then philosophy. Basically, he's saying that the pandemic did reveal the fragility of life. It was harder on women. It reduced their labor participation, and all this reduced the household income. So the easiest answer, which most of you got wrong, is A. It can't be that easy. There has to be some catch in the answer. Therefore, it is D. ये formula, you don't never use this formula in RC. I've done it when I was a student. It can't be this easy, has to be D. And then ended up with pie on my face. So remember, use your logic, trust your instincts, trust what you have learned, and then go with the answer. Alright? Okay. Next question. In the passage, how has he used imperative? Then we will see which of the following is a synonym of imperative. Now remember, if they give you a word and they give you options, the options may all be from the thesaurus. If you look up a thesaurus, all the options given may be the synonym of the word. So the contextual meaning of the word is very important. Alright, so here we've got 4 words: crucial, urgent, impertinent, unguent. Alright, let's go back. I'll tell you what it means. Where is imperative? Imperative, we have to look for it. India has climbed 8 places. Where is imperative? Here. It is, let me erase this. Okay. It's called scanning the text. Okay, where is the word when you're searching for it? It is imperative that girls get access to education through all levels of school and college. Alright? Okay, so what is the meaning of imperative as it is used here? Crucial, urgent, impertinent, unguent. What is the meaning of this last word, which ma'am is finding so hard to pronounce? Talked a lot today, so words are sticking in my mouth. It is crucial, important, rather than urgent. I mean, importance, urgency comes with the importance of the matter, but more than it should be done immediately, what he's saying is it's significant. It's important that it be done. Okay? All right. Identify, this is the grammar question. Okay? Identify the mood of the verb in the same sentence. Why am I stuck with this sentence? It's imperative that girls get access to education through all levels of school and college. What is the mood of the verb? Ma'am, what is the mood of the verb? What do you mean by mood? I'll tell you. Indicative, imperative, subjunctive, or none of the above. Guess karo, I'll explain it. Okay. Now, when you read the form of a verb in a sentence, the verb indicates. Okay, that's why that's called the mood of the verb. If it is just a statement, like today is Thursday, I am hungry, I am thirsty, all right, the sky is blue, green, white, whatever, then it is called, the verb is said to be in indicative mood. Any sentence, just a statement. Got it? If it is in the form of an order or a request is just an order with a please in front of it. Shut the door. Answer the question. Okay, then it's called an imperative mood. Is this giving you an order? No. Okay, imperative tone means ordering you about. Okay, command. That's not. Now, what is the subjunctive mood? I have taught you this. I have taught you this in the very first class. Somewhere I think the person, the editor of Hindu loves using this term. And that is something that we are asked this, we come across this, many of you don't question it. Just read this. It is imperative that girls get access to education. What is he actually saying? Girls should get access to education, but he hasn't used any should there. That is why whenever you have words like imperative, suggest that, kidnap, decide that, ask that, command that, this becomes a noun clause. Any word like this followed by that, then the verb that follows it has to be in subjunctive mode or subjunctive form. What is that? The base form of the verb. What is the first entry of get you get in the dictionary? Get, got, getting. Get is the first word. That's the base form. Base form. So, if I say, come to class on time. Okay. The teacher asked that we should come to class on time. No, that's not correct English. The moment you say asked that, we come to class on time. Why? Because the verb now needs to be expressed in subjunctive form. Get it? So here the mood that you have is not imperative. Imperative is when the sentence is in the form of an order or a command. Right? So what is the mood? Subjunctive. So the verb is in subjunctive form, which is the base form of the verb. Got it? We'll do this. 3-4 small sentences. You will master it in no time. Alright? Okay. Next one. Which one is not a synonym of vicious? He used the term vicious cycle. Early marriage, childbearing, maternal, poor health, all that vicious cycle will be stopped if you educate women. So what does he mean by vicious? Whenever you get a word you don't know its meaning, look at the expression where it has been used. Decide whether it's a word which has a positive connotation or a negative connotation. Based on that, you can guess the word if you don't know the meaning. So what's the meaning or what is not a synonym of vicious? So 3 words will be related to it. One won't be. Which one is not? Dangerous, pernicious, pertinacious, evil. What are the two options where you're stuck? Let me know if you're stuck. Let me see the answers. Dangerous, pernicious, pertinacious, or evil. Where are you? I don't see any answers coming in. Okay. Okay. Ritik, motivational word, good. What does C mean, by the way? Dangerous, pernicious, evil are all related. Yeah, something which is not good for you, unhealthy, hazardous. Yes. What does pertinacious mean? Find out. No, 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 no. It doesn't mean kind. Pertinacious means determined, you know, determined, resolute, not giving up. That's what pertinacious means. Okay. Pertinent means relevant. Okay. All right. Next one. Which one of the followings is the meaning of the word patriarchal? System dominated by women, elders, fathers, or men. Patriarchal norms. Patriarchal and cultural norms. That was the expression used in the passage. So what do you think patriarchal means? A system dominated by women, elders, fathers, or men. Patriarchal comes from pater, which means father, but patriarchal means system dominated by men. Matriarchal, mother, but system dominated by women. Alright, so the answer is D. Alright, next one. Which of the following best explains the meaning of the statement? Often, so this was a statement made in connection with women, that one, they do so much unpaid work that they can't opt for paid work. They're so tired, they don't have the energy or the time to do paid work. Even if they get a job, a paid kind of job, even if they get a job, women are constrained by patriarchal and cultural norms. What is the meaning of this sentence? That's all. You have to just explain this sentence to me because I don't understand what it means. Okay, most of the answers is A. Now, actually, those norms restrict women, those norms threaten women, those norms forbid women from working. But eventually, in every way, whether you're restricting, threatening, forbidding, you are restricting. You're making rules and restricting a woman's freedom to work. Therefore, it is A. B, C, and D are all related. Why are patriarchal norms set? Because men feel threatened by women and they'll say, oh, she's doing it, so let's make a rule saying women can't do it. Right? So they forbid women from doing certain activities. Second, they feel threatened by women, so they make rules such that women will, they're equally talented, they're better talented, let's do something so that they're pushed to the back. And the third one, this generally happens in less developed societies, okay, what you call backward, economically more than that in terms of mindset. So restricted takes into account B, C, and D. All right. This goes into the cause. Why do you think patriarchal norms came in? So in that particular, there was an article related to this. Next time I'll take two articles, one which we'll analyze, and then we'll look at the second article on the same subject from another newspaper, editorial from another newspaper, and compare the viewpoints. Okay, that this person is supporting it, this person is opposing it. This person is supporting it, this person has dealt with the same subject in greater detail. Okay, we'll do that kind of analysis of two editorials, one which we will analyze and answer questions, and the other just from a critical point of view. All right. And we will not get into polemics. We will not make it one of those arguments where you say that movie should be banned, torch this thing. We won't do all that. We'll just look at how the same subject is perceived differently by different people. Okay? All right. Now there's the sentence. I have expressed in 4 different ways. The option A is the same as the one expressed in the question. All right. I will. Hrithik, the biggest problem with articles from Aeon or Smithsonian is the articles are so huge, right? I can take only a part of it, so only a part of it can be analyzed. On the other hand, an editorial is brief and it covers the entire topic, but I will try to get only a part of, so let's say we are talking of gender disparities this time. Maybe a month later, I'll bring an article from Aeon on gender disparity and put it there. Okay, I want to, after 5-6 weeks of the Hindu and Indian Express, we'll move on to other articles. Okay, the biggest problem with op-ed articles and other articles is they're so long and I have to edit it, and then half the fun is gone, right? Okay, next. So I'm getting all kinds of answers here. Let me see. B, C, first one says India has climbed up. Next one says India climbed up, India climbed, India climbed up, India climbed, India climbed. No has. Lot of answers for B and lot of answers for C. Okay. One of the classes, remember, we spoke about cope up. What was the problem with that word? What was the problem with that expression? If you were there, some of you were there, was it correct to say cope up? Cope up is not correct because it is just cope. Same way, climb का मतलब क्या है? What is the meaning of climb? Where will you climb? Can you climb down? Some of you use the word I climbed down the stairs. You can't climb down the stairs. You go down the stairs. You can only climb up. Climb means to go up. So why do you need to pop it with an up? So all expressions which have up are wrong. Okay. India climbed 8 places in or at? That's the next question. Is it a place we are talking about? Are we talking of the annual gender gap report as a place? No. So we are talking of a report and the report mentions something. So what's the correct preposition to use? Therefore, the correct answer is C. Clear? Climbed up is wrong. Just climbed. And where did it climb? 8 places. And by the way, the editorial has given the correct expression. I only changed it. I added an up where it was not necessary. I did not mention it. I did not read it aloud. But in our article, there is no up. In the original text I have given you, there is no up there. All right. Okay. So did you enjoy the session? Was it useful? You had a good time reading. I'm happy you're reading. In 3 minutes, you're finishing an editorial. That's the key to the whole thing. Okay? Slowly, we'll increase the text. We'll increase the degree of difficulty of the text. We'll increase the degree of difficulty of the questions, but the time will remain the same. All right. If you still haven't joined our CAT coaching class, do so and take your 3-day free trial. These are our toppers in 2022. Well, we had, as I said, many more. We could accommodate only 5 pictures. There are many more who missed out by a point, their point, and I want each of you to also be here. New batches are on. The batches are increasing. We have 9 or 10 already, or many more. I've lost count. All right, so please join if you are serious about doing well in CAT. And if you intend to join our course, which I hope you do take the scholarship test. The next one is due on 9th July at 11 a.m. You get a huge fee waiver. Your fee waiver depends on your performance. Okay? 16th July, Srinivas will be talking to you about why, how, and when regarding MBA. Do attend that workshop. All right? आर्टिकल को शुरू से पढ़ाई करें या बीच से पढ़ाई करें, शुरू से ही पढ़ाई करो, पहले जल्दी पढ़ लो, so that you know the main point, right? It's a long article, so read the first 2 lines, read one line of the rest of the passages, see how big it is, look at it, smell it, feel it, and then say, okay, from the beginning I'm going to read. The parts which have, for example, when I read a book or I read any article, if it starts giving graphs and numbers, nothing gets into this head. The moment you say numbers, right, 20 crores, 400 crores, I go mad. So I just skip. Okay? So there are parts of it which you don't like, the parts of it you love to read again and again. You say, oh, such a beautiful expression. That's what I do. All right? So yeah, read it any which way. Hrithik, I don't mind which way you read it. But generally skim the passage first, शुरू से अंत तक जल्दी जल्दी, उसके बाद read it slowly. As you're reading it slowly, time yourself. Say this is a 1-page article, editorial is taking me 3 minutes, 1-page article will take me this much time. Read it, time yourself, okay, without being very conscious of the timer. Then see how much time you're taking. And next time try to read it a little faster, right? More importantly, can you put down the article and in the next class tell me, I read an article about the violence in France and this is what it said. If you can do that, that means you've already got the main point of the article, and that's what we are looking at. All right? All of you, read and tell me what you read last time. Last week, कितना पढ़ाई किए, क्या पढ़ाई किए? When I say पढ़ाई, I mean reading, as in newspapers, articles. It can be an article on Virat Kohli, Sachin Tendulkar. Read and tell me. Okay? This is what I read. It said that, you know what, Tendulkar was not the greatest Indian batsman. No, beat me. I believe he is the greatest Indian batsman. But somebody else is because his statistics show something else, and then they start using numbers, and I don't believe in it. I said, for me, he is God. Don't say anything else. So that's how you look at the argument, and you say your argument, ma'am, is useless because it's not backed by statistics. If I write an article on Tendulkar, I'll probably start, writing poetry. Then you'll say it's all, there's nothing, no statistics, nothing she's giving. So article is useless. You develop that critical thinking skills, and then you trash the article. Or you say this is a fantastic article. At the end of the article, kya bola? Kuch nahi. Just said Tendulkar is great in 100 different ways. That itself is an analysis, right? Okay, join all our social media handles. Make sure you're there. I will see you again on Tuesday. God and technical world willing. 99.999 I'll be there. See you. Bye. Have fun. Keep reading. The more you read, the better you get. Bye-bye.